This is everything you need to start machine embroidery. Let's go. Let's start out with the most important piece, and that is the embroidery machine. This is the SE600, and it is the first machine I ever purchased that began my embroidery journey. Now, the reason why I hold it to this day, even though I don't utilize it that often, is because it has taught me all of the lessons that embroidery comes with. When you begin your embroidery journey, you'll have to learn a few things like how to set your tension, how to hoop your fabrics, how to change your thread, and so on. This machine was really good for that, and it taught me the basics without feeling too overwhelming. Now, when it comes to the home single needle machines, the most important thing that I would consider above the designs or its speed is its hoop size. This machine, the Brother SE600, has a hoop size of 4 by 4 inches. That is this square right here, and if you're a beginner with a really tight budget, this is a pretty good machine. But if I were to start embroidery all over again, I would probably skip the SE600 and get something like the PE800 or SE1900. The reason is its hoop size. With the PE800 or SE1900, as well as many other brands, I just mentioned Brother because that's the one that I'm used to. The hoop size that they come with is a 5 by 7, which you can see it is quite a big difference. And I found that when I first started embroidering, 4 by 4 was a bit limiting. I wanted to create designs that were 5 by 7, so I just thought to myself, I wish I spent the extra money just getting that extra hoop size. So if you guys can, I highly suggest you go for a bigger hoop size, because then it's going to allow you to create bigger designs on different kinds of fabrics. This is the issue that many beginners experience, and one of the things that they do to try and solve it is they try and split the design in half. So for example, this hoop would turn into a 4 by 8, but in reality, it is just faster to spend that extra money on getting a bigger hoop size that will allow you to create your designs in a bigger area. Now, there are newer machines than the SE600 or the P800 that even include Wi-Fi, but to me, I feel like I'm always just using a USB, so that is optional as well. And if you're someone who wants to upload your designs via Wi-Fi or your phone, those are things to consider with the added cost. So when you're investing in your embroidery machine, despite of the brand, just look out for the hoop size. Ensure that you think ahead of all the things that you want to do. Do you want to do a big chest piece, something that's really wide, or are you just looking to do chest logos that are on the left side? To me, I thought I was okay starting out just here, but ended up wanting to do the whole chest and even the back design. So 4 by 4, a bit small, but again, if you're on a tight budget, great to start. Now let's move on to some of the most important materials that you'll need for embroidery. These right here are stabilizers, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. The purpose of the stabilizer is to give your fabric more stability. When you have a stretchy fabric, like a shirt, without any stabilizer, you may notice that when this needle is embroidering that design, it may pull a little bit more because it lacks stability. That's where the magic of stabilizers come in, and there are more than a few stabilizers available like this, which is why I can see people get confused, but these are the ones that we use the most. Number 1 is cutaway stabilizer. Now, what do you use cutaway stabilizer for? I would use this for any fabric that is stretchy, like a shirt, a hoodie, a sweater, anything where the fabric does need a bit of assistance to hold itself. Now, there are different weights for stabilizers, this one being 3 ounce, but my new all-time favorite stabilizer, come here, I'll share you the secret. It's called a NoShow Mesh stabilizer. It has all of the benefits from a cutaway stabilizer, and it's a lot lighter while remaining strong like the normal cutaway stabilizer. The reason why I love using this one so much, and it's a 1.5 ounce, it's because it doesn't leave any shadows on your t-shirts. If you've ever used a cutaway on a really thin fabric and then you put it on, you'll probably see a little bit of that shadow from the stabilizer. It doesn't really look professional or pretty, and it kind of ruins the aesthetic of the design. That is where this NoShow Mesh cutaway comes into play. It will keep your design super stable throughout the embroidery and even after washes, and it does not have any of the shadows. I love this material so much. But this is not the only one we need, so let's check out the other stabilizer. This one is called Tearaway, and like its name, you can simply tear it off. The purpose of Tearaway is to give extra stability to those stable fabrics, meaning tote bags, shoes, jean, leather, anything that doesn't really have that stretch to it that can hold on its own. This will give it that extra stability, and you have the benefit of simply tearing it off as soon as it's done. Now, when you begin embroidering, it's very tempting to just go for Tearaway, even for the stretchy fabrics, because all you do is tear it off. But if you want to keep the quality of your fabrics that are stretchy for a really long time after many washes, then the NoShow Mesh cutaway is the go-to. If you're doing things like hats, tote bags, shoes, Tearaway is the way to go. So those are the two most common ones, but we do have one more stabilizer. This is called a Washway Topper stabilizer, and you're wondering, what is the point of it? Well, if you've ever tried embroidering any fabric that stands like towels, you'll notice that your threads will likely sink. The goal of this stabilizer is to keep those threads from sinking, and you have the benefit that once you're done embroidering, you rip off the excess and you wash it off. Unfortunately, I don't embroider that many towels, so I don't get to play with this enough and wash it off after, but if that's something that you do, then this is a must. Now, for all of those stabilizers, there are many different brands and sizes that you can get them in, so just make sure you do your research on what works best for you. Me, I prefer having a big roll so I can cut it off to the size depending on the hoop that I'm using. Alright, let's move on to something very fun and important, and that is threads. When I first got started in machine embroidery, I went for what was quick and accessible, and that was a brand called SimThread that I found on Amazon. They had different packs of many colors, so I think I just went for the 40 pack. It was around $30, I believe. It comes with a bunch of different colors, and they're ready for you to embroider. Now, the most important question is, what weight and thread type should I get? The most common weight for embroidery thread that will cover about 80% of embroidery needs is 40 weight, and the thread type is polyester. As I was learning about embroidery, I wanted to try different brands, different types of thread, and one of the ones that I came across was the brand of Madeira. Now, to this day, I love this brand for its quality. I think it is so nice, and I've never really had issues with their threads. One of the main things that I did experiment with when it came to threads was a classic viscose? I don't really know how to say it, versus polyester threads. I loved the way that the classic one looked, but to be honest, I found that the thread would break a little too easy, so I decided to just turn around and go back to polyester. These two threads right here, although they look similar, they are different, and each one of them has its own components that give a different effect. If you're just starting with embroidery and are on a budget, there is absolutely nothing wrong with trying out the sim threads to play around with. This way, you get a nice variety pack of colors that will get you embroidering. Just remember, 40 weight polyester. Now, let's talk about something really tiny but very important, and that is the bobbin. Now, depending on the machine that you get, like the SE600, it comes with a bobbin winder, meaning that if your thread runs out on the bobbin, you can wind it back up again and keep embroidering. Now, to me, although it was fun seeing the bobbin winding, I found that it took a little bit too much time, and not only did you have to take the bobbin from the bottom and wind it, and you also had to change the thread on top, which takes that extra time. That's why there's something called Prewound Bobbins. To me, ever since I realized that the Prewound Bobbins exist, I've had no need to wind them anymore. It makes embroidery much quicker without the need to change everything. Now, just remember that there are different bobbin sizes depending on the machine that you have. So please make sure that if you purchase pre-wound bobbins, that you get the right size for your machine. For example, the Brother SE600 and the SE1900 had completely different bobbin sizes, and I had no idea. I ended up ordering a bunch of them and realizing, I can't really use them because it doesn't fit. So just remember, do that extra research for your bobbins. See the different sizes? Just watch out for that. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people get really confused about, and that is embroidery needles. The most common needle size that you'll pretty much use for all of your embroidery, unless you're doing super tiny detailed stuff, is 75/11. I've used these from the beginning, have them on every single machine, Brother, this one at the back, and to be honest, it gets the job done. Make sure you get a bunch of them because especially when you're starting out, we tend to cry tears from how many needles we may break. So guys, just accept the fact that they're gonna break. They'll become dull after a while, so it's okay. Let it go, put it to rest, and put a new one in the machine. Now I just want to clarify something very important with these needles, and that is that you purchase the proper one for your machine. For example, for the Brother SE600, and I believe most Brother machines, if you'll notice, the Brother needle is a little bit thicker and it has a flat side that helps you slide the needle through the machine, versus the other one for the multi-needle, it is slightly thinner and there is no flat back. So just ensure that you get the right ones for your machine. Now let's talk about scissors, because after all, embroidery is kind of like surgery. There are two main scissors that you're gonna want to get for embroidery. One is just these fabric scissors. That's okay to dull them, that you don't really care so much about. These I use to cut most of my big fabrics as well as my stabilizers. And then there is this magic scissor that has kind of a curved tip. You'll see that opposed to being straight, it is a little bit curved, and that just helps you cut into the fabric, remove the excess without accidentally cutting into something else. If you're doing a lot of appliques and you don't yet have any of these, make sure to get some. It'll save you so much time and headache. And you also want to get some tweezers. These are just so you can pull the threads one by one. And I normally use a combination of both, where I pull the thread and then I clip. Like I said, we are now surgeons of embroidery, so we want to make sure we have the best tools for the job. These are the basic materials and accessories that you'll utilize for machine embroidering, but we're missing designs, so let's talk about those. Now, to get your own embroidery designs, you have two options. Option number one, you can learn how to digitize and how to create your own designs. Or number two, you can hire a digitizer to create those designs for you. Now, in my opinion, I believe that every embroiderer should know the basics of digitizing, which is why John has created a free cheat sheet that will link in the description so you can learn all the basics of digitizing. With digitizing knowledge, you will learn why certain things go wrong in your embroidery design, as well as what format you need to export in for your embroidery machine, how to create less dense and quicker embroidery designs, and much more. Now, I will agree that a lot of you may not have the time or care so much about digitizing, and that is the other option, where you can simply hire someone to digitize it for you. Now, this can be a double-edged sword, and that's because if you don't know the reputation of that digitizer, you might run into some quality issues that will ultimately waste your time and money. So just make sure that if you're hiring a digitizer, that you find quality people. Now, if you guys want to create your own artistic designs without breaking the bank or needing to be an expert, then I highly suggest you check out the Design Doodler. If you guys have seen any of the recent tutorials on this channel, you'll notice that I've been using the Design Doodler. It's become one of my favorite apps due to its simplicity, the fact that I can use a pen as opposed to a mouse, and it just brings back that old creative side in me that I feel like I've missed for a long time. Now, I will let you know that the Design Doodler is not made for professional digitizing. That's why you don't need to be an expert to use it. It's more meant to create more of your hobbyist embroidery designs, things that are more creative, more hand-drawn style. But ultimately, if you check out those other videos, you'll see all of the things that you can create. And yes, this design right here, I made it on the Design Doodler. The app is made for PC, but there is an iPad companion that allows you to take the Design Doodler on the go, and when you come home, you import that design onto your PC, finish it up, export it, and have it embroidered. We have a free trial for the app, and I'll make sure to link it in the description. Now, one last secret that I'll share with you is if you want to get pre-made premium embroidery designs that are well digitized, then I highly suggest you check out the Design Club by Embroidery Legacy. We have over 30,000 embroidery designs ready for you to pick your own file format and have it embroidered on your machine. If you're in need of a quick, professionally done design, then we got you covered. And don't forget to become a Design Club member to save up as much as 90% off on all the embroidery designs. I know it may seem that there are a lot of things that you have to get, as well as a lot of information that you have to remember when it comes to embroidery, but as long as you practice as much as you can on the craft, you will become so much better and confident at everything that you create. One last thing, and that is that if you want to learn more about embroidery, make sure to like this video and subscribe, as well as if you want to see a course completely free for beginners, then make sure to click that link in the description. This is everything that you're gonna need to begin your embroidery journey. I gave you a salute. welcome to the embroidery world and to embroidery legacy. Comment down any questions and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.